No one touched the Alpha King's beast. Not the generals. Not the priests. Not even the queen who once ruled beside him. Because the last person who tried, never walked again. So when the strange human girl stepped forward in chains, and placed her hand on the monster's head, the entire royal courtyard stopped breathing. And for the first time in his life, the Alpha King's beast wagged its tail. The iron gates of Black Moon Fortress groaned open as soldiers dragged the prisoner inside. Snow fell softly across the courtyard, but no one noticed the cold. They were watching her. The girl didn't look like a spy. She didn't look dangerous. She didn't even look brave. She looked tired. Barefoot. Wrapped in torn servant cloth. Wrists bruised from silver chains. Yet she walked like someone who wasn't afraid of dying. General Kale stepped forward first. You kneel before the Alpha King. She didn't kneel. Gasps rippled through the warriors gathered along the stone walls. No one disobeyed the king. No one survived doing it twice. The Alpha King watched her from the obsidian throne platform above the courtyard. Tall. Silent. Eyes glowing faint silver beneath the shadow of his crown. Why, he asked slowly, does the prisoner refuse to kneel? The girl lifted her head. Because she wasn't looking at him. She was looking behind him. At the cage. And what lived inside it? The beast. It was enormous. Larger than any wolf should exist. Black fur like midnight storms. Eyes like burning moons. Chains wrapped around its body like iron serpents. And yet, it wasn't growling at her. It was watching her. Carefully. Curiously. Like it recognized her. The soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons. She's provoking it, someone whispered. Stop her, another warned. But the king raised his hand. No one moved. Speak, he ordered her. The girl swallowed once. Then said something no one expected. He's lonely. Silence exploded across the courtyard. The general stared at her like she'd just declared war. The priests looked ready to faint. The king's voice dropped lower. You call my beast, lonely? She nodded. Yes. Gasps again. No one spoke about the beast like that. It wasn't a creature. It wasn't an animal. It was the king's curse. His power. His punishment. His shadow. And it had killed dozens. Yet she stepped closer. Silver chains scraping stone behind her. Soldiers raised their weapons. The beast shifted inside its cage. The king didn't stop her. Didn't speak. Didn't breathe. He watched. Because something strange was happening. The beast wasn't raging. It wasn't snarling. It wasn't attacking. It was waiting. Waiting for her. She reached the iron bars. Everyone expected screaming. Blood. Death. Instead, she lifted her hand slowly. Softly. Carefully. Like she was greeting an old friend. And placed her fingers against its fur. The courtyard froze. The beast didn't move. Didn't growl. Didn't attack. Its ears lowered slightly. Then. Its massive tail moved once. Then again. Then again. The Alpha King stood up. Slowly. Because in 20 years. He had never seen it do that before. What are you? He whispered. The girl smiled faintly. Someone he remembers. The courtyard never forgot what happened that night. Warriors whispered about it in the barracks. Servants repeated it in the kitchens. Even the royal guards, men who had faced war without fear, spoke of it only in quiet voices. Because nothing like it had ever happened before. The Alpha King's beast had wagged its tail. And the girl who touched it, she wasn't executed. She wasn't imprisoned. She wasn't even questioned immediately. Instead, she was brought inside the palace. Alive. The royal corridors of Black Moon Fortress were not meant for prisoners. Cold stone pillars stretched toward shadowed ceilings. Silver torches burned with quiet magic along the walls. And every soldier she passed watched her like she was either a miracle or a threat. The chains were still around her wrists. But no one pushed her now. No one shouted orders at her. No one dared treat her like a normal prisoner anymore. Because the king had spoken one command after the courtyard incident. Bring her to me. She entered the throne hall alone. Even the guards stopped at the doors. Inside, only the Alpha King waited. He stood near the tall moonlit window instead of sitting on his throne. Like a man who didn't trust himself to relax. His silver eyes studied her carefully. You touched him, he said. Not a question. A statement. Yes. You were not afraid. No. He stepped closer. The air changed when he moved. Heavy. Powerful. Dangerous. You should have been. She tilted her head slightly. He wasn't going to hurt me. The king stared at her like she had spoken a language he didn't understand. No one says that about my beast. I do. Silence stretched between them. Then he asked the question everyone else was too afraid to ask. How? She looked toward the tall doors behind him. The direction of the courtyard. The direction of the cage. He's not what you think he is. The king's voice hardened slightly. I know exactly what he is. No, she said gently. You know what they told you he is. That sentence hit harder than any insult ever could. The king didn't react immediately. But something inside him shifted. Because no one spoke to him like that. Not generals. Not nobles. Not enemies. And yet, he didn't order her punished. Instead, he asked something quieter. What is your name? Lira. He repeated it once. Softly. Like testing whether it belonged in his world. Lira, he said again. And how do you know my beast? She hesitated. For the first time since entering the palace. Then answered honestly. I don't. The king's jaw tightened. But he knows me. That night. Something changed inside the fortress. The beast refused food. Refused water. Refused sleep. It paced its cage endlessly. Growling low enough to make the stone vibrate. Until the king ordered Lira brought back to the courtyard. The soldiers didn't understand the command. But they obeyed it. Because when the king gives an order, the world listens. The moment she stepped into the courtyard again, the beast stopped pacing. Stopped growling. Stopped fighting the chains. And sat down. Like it had been waiting. The king watched carefully from above. He wasn't watching her. He was watching the beast. Because he had lived with it his entire life. Shared its strength. Shared its curse. Shared its rage. And never. Not once. Had it obeyed anyone but him. Until now. Lira walked toward the cage again. Slower this time. Not because she was afraid. Because she understood something now. The beast wasn't dangerous. It was desperate. You missed me, she whispered softly. The wolf lowered its head immediately. A deep sound rumbled in its chest. Not a growl. Something softer. Something almost like relief. The soldiers shifted nervously. No one liked hearing that sound. Because it didn't belong to a monster. It belonged to something loyal. Something gentle. Something broken. The king descended the courtyard steps slowly. His boots echoed across the stone. Each step closer answered a question he didn't want to ask. Why does he listen to you? Lira looked up at him. Because she didn't want to lie. He trusts me. He doesn't trust anyone. He trusts me. The king stopped walking. Right beside the cage. Right beside the beast. Right beside her. Then he asked the question he had been avoiding since the moment she arrived. What did you do to him? Lira blinked. Confused. I didn't do anything. That creature has killed trained warriors. Yes. It has broken chains forged by royal smiths. Yes. It has attacked nobles. Yes. But it behaves like a pup around you. Yes. He leaned closer. Voice dropping. So I will ask you again. What did you do? She reached through the bars again. Touched the beast's fur again. And answered the only truth she knew. I treated him like he wasn't alone. The beast's tail moved again. Slow. Careful. Gentle. And the Alpha King felt something impossible happen inside his chest. Something he hadn't felt since childhood. Hope. That night. For the first time in years. The beast slept peacefully. And the Alpha King didn't sleep at all. Because one question refused to leave his mind. Why did the creature that shared his soul choose her? The first time it happened. No one else noticed. Not the guards. Not the priests. Not even the Alpha King. Only Lira felt it. She was standing beside the iron cage again. Morning sunlight barely reached the courtyard floor. The beast was quieter today. Calmer. Watching her the way a lost child watches someone who finally understands them. You didn't sleep, she whispered gently. Its ears twitched. Then. Something impossible happened. A voice answered her. Not aloud. Not through the air. Inside her mind. You came back. Lira froze. Her fingers tightened slightly against the iron bars. She looked around quickly. No one reacted. No one heard it. Her heart began pounding. Did you just speak? She whispered. The beast tilted its head slowly. Its glowing silver eyes softened. I remember you. Her breath stopped. That wasn't possible. It couldn't be possible. The beast wasn't human. It wasn't even fully wolf. It was something ancient. Something cursed. Something bound to the Alpha King's soul. And yet. It knew her. What do you remember? She whispered. The beast stepped closer. Chains clinking softly across stone. Its enormous head lowered until it rested near her shoulder. Before the cage. Lira swallowed. I've never been here before. The answer came instantly. Before the fortress. Her heartbeat quickened. I've never met you. The beast's voice softened. Before he forgot. Who forgot? The voice didn't answer immediately. Instead. It showed her something. Not with words. With memory. Snow. A forest. A boy. Silver eyes. Laughing. Running beside a wolf pup. Her breath caught. Because the boy looked familiar. Too familiar. It was him. The Alpha King. But younger. Much younger. And he wasn't alone. A small girl ran beside him. Holding his hand. Laughing with him. Promising something. Something important. Something sacred. And then. Fire. Screams. Blood. Chains. Darkness. And silence. Lira stumbled backward from the cage. The vision shattered instantly. The courtyard returned. The soldiers returned. Reality returned. But her heartbeat didn't slow. Because she knew what she had just seen. And she knew why the beast trusted her. "You remember me," she whispered. The wolf lowered its head. "Yes. Lira." The voice behind her was sharp. Commanding. Real. She turned. The Alpha King stood only a few steps away. Watching her carefully. Watching both of them carefully. "You look like you saw a ghost." She didn't answer immediately. Because she didn't know how to explain what just happened. "You said something to him," he continued. "No. You spoke." "I didn't." The king's silver eyes narrowed slightly. "I saw your lips move." Lira hesitated. Then chose the truth. He spoke first. The courtyard went silent again. Soldiers exchanged nervous glances. The king didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. "My beast," he said slowly, "does not speak. He does to me." The king stepped closer. Close enough that she could see something behind his calm expression. Fear. Not fear of her. Fear of the truth. What did he say? Lira looked at the wolf again. Then back at him. "He said he remembers me." The king's voice dropped lower. "That's impossible. He remembers before the fortress." The king froze. "He remembers before the curse." Silence spread across the courtyard like wildfire. Because no one ever spoke about the time before the curse. What else did he say? He said, "Someone forgot." The king's jaw tightened. Who forgot? Lira hesitated. Because she wasn't sure if she should answer. But the wolf spoke again inside her mind. He did. She looked directly into the king's silver eyes. "You did." The temperature in the courtyard seemed to drop instantly. The guards shifted nervously. Even the wind stopped moving. Because no one accused the Alpha King of anything. Especially not forgetting his own past. "I forget nothing," he said quietly. "Yes," she answered gently. "You forgot me." The beast moved closer again. Chains rattling softly. Its massive head pressed against the bars between them. Waiting. Watching. Hoping. Like it needed the king to remember too. "Why would I forget you?" he asked finally. Lira's voice trembled slightly. Because she didn't know the answer. "I don't know." But the beast did. Because they made him. "Who made me forget?" the king demanded. Lira looked back at the wolf again. Listening. Then answered slowly. "The curse." For the first time since she arrived. The Alpha King stepped backward. Because something inside him had just changed. Not fear. Not anger. Recognition. "Show me," he said quietly. "Show me what he showed you." "I don't know how." "Try." Lira stepped closer. Placed her hand against the beast's fur again. Closed her eyes. And this time. The memory didn't come to her alone. It reached for him too. Snow. Forest. Laughter. A promise. A girl holding his hand. A wolf running beside them. 3 children. 1 destiny. Then. Darkness. Chains. A ritual. Voices chanting. Silver fire. pain, and forgetting. The king dropped to one knee. The memory shattered around him. But one truth remained. He knew her face. He just didn't know why. "You were there," he whispered. "Yes." His voice trembled slightly. "What did they do to me?" Lira answered softly. "They took your past." And for the first time since becoming Alpha, the king looked at his beast not like a weapon, but like a prisoner. Just like him. By morning, everyone in Black Moon Fortress knew her name. Not because she was noble. Not because she was powerful. Not because she was important. But because the Alpha King's beast had chosen her. And in a kingdom built on fear, that was dangerous. Servants whispered her name in corridors. Soldiers watched her when she passed. Priests avoided her entirely. But the nobles were afraid of her. Because power they did not understand was power they could not control. And people like that rarely survived long inside royal walls. The throne hall filled early that day. Generals stood in their armor. Priests carried their silver staffs. Council elders wore robes stitched with ancient runes. Even the royal advisors gathered near the marble staircase. Because the Alpha King had called a council session at sunrise. And he never did that without reason. Lira stood alone at the center of the hall. Still barefoot. Still wearing servant cloth. Still holding silver chains around her wrists. But this time, no one looked at her like she was weak. They looked at her like she was dangerous. Then the doors opened. And she entered. Lady Seraphine. The future queen of Black Moon Fortress. Or at least, the woman who believed she already was. Seraphine moved like someone born to rule. Tall. Elegant. Silver hair braided with royal thread. Eyes sharp enough to cut through silence. She stopped halfway down the hall. And stared directly at Lira. "You are the girl," she said. Not a question. A judgment. "Yes," Lira answered quietly. Seraphine smiled slightly. "Cold. Polite. Cruel. So this is the servant who touched the king's beast." Lira said nothing. Because she already understood something important. This woman wasn't curious. She was threatened. The Alpha King entered moments later. The entire hall bowed instantly. Except Lira. And Seraphine noticed. Of course she noticed. Everyone noticed. But the king said nothing about it. Not this time. "Begin," he ordered the council. An elder stepped forward first. His voice trembled slightly. "Your Majesty, the girl is dangerous." Another priest stepped forward. "She speaks with the beast." A general added quietly. "And the beast obeys her." Seraphine folded her hands calmly. "And no one outside the royal bloodline has ever done that." Silence followed her words. Because everyone understood what she was saying. Only the king should control the beast. Only the king should command it. Only the king should survive it. Yet somehow, a servant girl had changed that. "She is a witch," one priest finally said. The word echoed across the hall like thunder. A witch. The most dangerous accusation anyone could make. Because witches were not imprisoned. They were burned. Lira didn't speak. Didn't defend herself. Didn't argue. She only looked at the king. Waiting. Seraphine stepped closer. Slowly. Carefully. Like a predator approaching something fragile. "Your Majesty," she said softly. "The beast is bound to your soul." "Yes." "No one else should touch it." "Yes." "No one else should command it." Yes. So explain, she finished. Why she can. The hall held its breath. Because this was no longer a council discussion. This was a challenge. To him. To his authority. To his destiny. The king looked at Lira. Not like a ruler judging a prisoner. Like someone searching for truth. She is not controlling the beast, he said finally. She is calming it. Seraphine's smile faded slightly. That is worse. Murmurs spread across the council chamber. Because she was right. Calming the beast meant something deeper than control. It meant connection. And connection meant destiny. She knew me before the curse, the king continued quietly. The hall went silent instantly. No one spoke. No one breathed. No one moved. Because he had just said something no Alpha King had ever admitted before. He had a life before the beast. And someone had erased it. Seraphine's voice sharpened immediately. That is impossible. No. The king's silver eyes darkened slightly. It is not. Seraphine turned toward Lira again. Studying her carefully now. Not like a servant. Like a rival. Then prove it, she said. Lira blinked. Prove what? That you knew him. I don't remember everything. Convenient, Seraphine replied smoothly. The council shifted again. Doubt returned. Fear returned. Suspicion returned. Seraphine stepped closer. Close enough now that only Lira could hear her next words. If you are lying, she whispered. I will make sure you never leave this fortress alive. Then she stepped back. Smiling again. Calm again. Royal again. I request a ritual test, Seraphine announced to the council. The priests immediately stiffened. Because everyone knew what that meant. A ritual test was not gentle. It was not safe. It was not fair. It was ancient magic designed to reveal truth. And sometimes, it killed the person being tested. The king's voice dropped instantly. No. Seraphine turned toward him slowly. If she speaks truth, she survives. And if she doesn't? Seraphine's eyes never left Lira. Then the kingdom survives. The council agreed immediately. Too quickly. Too eagerly. Because they weren't protecting the kingdom. They were protecting their control over it. Lira understood something then. This was never about truth. This was about fear. Fear that she might change everything. The king stepped forward. Positioning himself beside her. Between her. And the council. No ritual, he said again. This time louder. Stronger. Final. But Seraphine smiled again. Because she had already won something important. She had planted doubt. Inside the council. Inside the court. And most dangerously. Inside the kingdom itself. Then keep her close, Seraphine said calmly. Very close. She turned toward Lira one last time. Because if she is lying. Her smile sharpened slightly. The beast will be the one that kills her. And across the courtyard outside. Chains suddenly rattled violently. Because the beast had hurt her. And it did not like what she said. When the beast breaks its chains. The sun had not yet risen over Black Moon Fortress, but the fortress already trembled with whispers of fear. Inside the courtyard, the beast's chains rattled violently, echoing off stone walls like the roar of a thunderstorm. Every soldier, every priest, every council member froze in place. They had trained for war. They had faced enemy armies, fire, and famine. But they had never faced this. Lira stood in the center of the courtyard, her hands trembling slightly as she felt the beast's rage radiate through the air. "Stay calm," she whispered softly, almost to herself. But the beast did not hear words. It felt her. And the moment it did, the impossible happened. The massive chains holding it snapped with a deafening metallic scream. Iron links flew across the courtyard. The ground shook. And the Alpha King's eyes widened in shock. He had never seen the beast free. Soldiers screamed and scrambled. Weapons raised. The priests muttered prayers too fast for comprehension. Seraphine, elegant and cold, froze mid-step, her face twisting in disbelief. But the beast did not attack them. Not yet. It ran to Lira. Its massive paws thudded against stone. Snow exploded beneath each step. Its eyes were silver fire, but there was no rage there. Only devotion. Only recognition. Only her. Lyra's voice trembled as she reached out. "I am here," she whispered. The beast lowered its massive head. Its tail, impossibly long, wagged slowly. Each wag sent vibrations through the cold stone courtyard. The Alpha King realized something he had never admitted to anyone before. It had chosen her. Not him. The council tried to intervene. "Stop it," someone shouted. Generals raised swords. Priests lifted magical staffs. But the beast moved like a shadow, faster than thought. It stopped every weapon inches from Lira. One soldier, reckless and foolish, swung a sword at it. The beast batted it away effortlessly with one massive paw, tossing the soldier across the courtyard. Silence followed. Because no one dared move after that. The Alpha King descended from his throne platform, silver eyes glowing brighter than ever. "You will not harm her," he said, his voice echoing across stone walls. The beast tilted its head at him. It growled softly. Low. Protective. Warning. Then it nudged Lira forward, gently but firmly, as if to say, "She is mine now." Seraphine's eyes narrowed. "You," she began, but her words faltered. The beast growled again, a sound deeper than any cannon, vibrating in everyone's bones. "I warned you," Lira said calmly, turning toward the noblewoman. The Alpha King realized the truth in that moment. The beast was no longer just a weapon. It was a guardian. It was a partner. It was connected to her in ways he could not understand. And the kingdom, the council, the nobles, they would have to accept it. The sun finally broke over the horizon, illuminating the courtyard with golden light. The beast lay down before Lira, massive body curling protectively around her. Its tail wagged slowly, rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. The Alpha King knelt beside them, still uncertain, still cautious, but beginning to understand. She had not tamed it. She had not conquered it. She had reminded it who it truly belonged to. And as the soldiers, council, and nobles looked on in awe, everyone understood one unshakable truth. The rules had changed. The Alpha King's beast was no longer a tool of fear. It had found its mate. Its protector. Its chosen human. The courtyard was silent. The snow had melted slightly from the dawn sun, but the air still carried the chill of fear, awe, and something otherworldly. The massive shadow wolf lay at Lyra's feet, its tail wagging slowly. Its silver eyes glowed softly, reflecting the first rays of morning. The Alpha King knelt beside her, his expression unreadable. He had seen the beast's chains break. He had seen the council frozen in terror. He had seen the impossible. And he had realized one thing. He did not control the beast. She did. Lira lifted her gaze. Her fingers brushed the wolf's fur. Her mind reached into the deep, unspoken connection she shared with the creature. She had felt it before. Felt the memories. Felt the silence of the years the curse had stolen. Now she knew the truth. The beast spoke again, inside her mind, only she could hear it. The curse is broken, but not by me. By you. Lira froze. You mean, it's me, she whispered. You reminded him. You reminded him of what he was before the chains, before the pain, before the forgetting. You brought him back. Her breath caught. You mean, the Alpha King? The wolf nodded, if a wolf could nod in mind and soul. He is bound to me, as I am bound to you. But only you can bridge the curse. Only you can remind him of what he lost. The Alpha King stood silently, watching her, slowly understanding the truth. My past, my memories, everything I lost, it was stolen. He asked, his voice rough with emotion. Yes, Lira said softly. But it's yours again. You just needed someone to help you remember. He stepped closer to her, towering and powerful, silver eyes glowing brighter than ever in the early morning sun. The wolf shifted slightly, leaning between them, as if protecting this fragile new bond forming before anyone else in the kingdom. Seraphine stepped forward. Her voice trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. You are a witch. A servant, controlling a beast no human should, her words faltered. The Alpha King's eyes blazed. She is not controlling him, he said firmly. She is his mate. His other half. And the curse is ending, because of her. The council and nobles fell silent, the words like hammers on stone. Lira reached out her hand toward the king. Tentatively at first. He took it. And for the first time in decades, the Alpha King felt whole. The wolf stretched its massive paws, then nudged her gently. Its silver eyes gleamed like the moon itself. You are his anchor. And he is yours. Always. Lira smiled softly. I never wanted to control him, she whispered. I just wanted him to remember who he really is. The Alpha King stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair from her face. You've reminded me, he said quietly. And I will never forget again. From the balcony above, the council watched in stunned silence. The kingdom itself seemed to hold its breath. The curse was broken. The beast no longer roamed in chains. The Alpha King no longer roamed in memory's shadows. And Lira. Lira was no longer a servant. She was the keeper of the beast. The reminder of the king. The bridge between past and present. The wolf lowered its head, resting it on her shoulder. The Alpha King wrapped his arm around both of them. And the kingdom understood one unshakable truth. The strongest bond is not forged in chains. It is forged in trust. In courage. In the power to remind someone who they truly are. The sun fully rose. Light bathed the courtyard in gold and silver. The Alpha King, Lira, and the wolf stood together. Unbroken. United. Unstoppable. As the sun rose over Black Moon Fortress, the chains that once bound the Alpha King's beast lay shattered on the stone, but something even stronger had taken their place. Not fear. Not power. Not destiny written by others. But trust. Because sometimes, the one person everyone calls weak, is the only one strong enough to heal what the world could not. And from that day forward, the kingdom would never forget the girl who treated the Alpha King's beast like a puppy. And reminded a king who he truly was. Subscribe now to follow Lira's journey and see what happens next in the Alpha King's realm. Comment below, what would you do if you discovered a beast obeyed only you? Like this video if you love dark fantasy stories with twists and epic bonds. Share this story with a friend who loves thrilling fantasy adventures.